Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
And welcome to the next episode of Toy Rewind Podcast. I am Michael.
I'm John.
And I'm Andrew. And like Michael said, welcome to Toy Rewind. It's just a little podcast. Three of us get together. We chat about toy lines from our childhood, hopefully yours too, if you're listening to this. And we give you a little bit of a history lesson about why these toy lines maybe ended up in all of our households. This week, we are rewinding back to the 1930s. That's the year. And we're going to talk about a line released originally by the Bergen Toy and Novelty Company. What did you say? It was short Benton? Is that what you said, Michael?
For short, yeah. They used Benton. The B-E-T and then an N-O, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
like
so the Benton.
Like that. They shortened it to Benton for short, yeah.
Released by them. We firmly call them the Green Army Men, but for this, it's just Army Men because there's lots of different colors. We're talking about those guys. I don't know how we're going to get a full episode out of these little plastic guys, but there's a good history lesson here, I think. So,
how many pages you got, Michael?
I got 1, 2, 3.5, almost 4 pages.
There you go.
Oh, so we had more. We had more on Teddy Ruxpin. So
yeah, Teddy Ruxpin had a little bit more.
One little bear that turned into 6 pages of notes.
But it wasn't a bear.
There you go. Oh, sorry. My light is like crazy bright today.
It is.
Oh, maybe I'm missing my backlight. That's what my backlight's not on. I knew there was something going on. All right. Well, then, John, can you do your thing? Help people find us. I'm gonna go turn on my backlight.
Heard. All right, check us out on our website at toyrewindpodcast.com. You can also check us out on acrossthestreamsmedia.com. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Look us up on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. It's all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube is Toy Rewind Podcast. We do stream some of our not some of them, but all of our Toy Box showcases to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, so you can catch those. They are collected onto YouTube, so if that's where you haven't seen any, go there and check them out and watch all the old ones. Then you can always play along with us as we're doing our podcast, or as you're listening to the podcast. We've already done it, and play a little bingo at podcastbingo.com/toy rewind.
That's
and then that was a bingo square.
That's a bingo square. That was a phone noise. Oops. Sorry.
And then keep your ears open to when we're going to do our next collector showcase with our friends over at the Geek Together channel. So,
yeah, hopefully that's coming up. Michael's getting one lined up for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
we got to sit down and pin a date down to do it. So it's coming up soon. We got one coming up soon.
It'll probably be after this episode drops, which is on Thanksgiving. So
that's right. It will be Thanksgiving.
If you're listening to us on Thanksgiving Day, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. We are recording a little early than we normally would because John's driving off to Mississippi for, so he won't be around. But we're happy Thanksgiving for everybody. That's why we're talking about Army Men, right? Because why not? Let's talk about these little things that we all had and we've all stepped on. That maybe not as painful as Legos.
I don't think they're as bad as Lego.
I feel like because they're a little more malleable, like when you step on it,
they bend easier than
they bend easier.
Lego brick would.
There may be parts that are going to hurt, but
but they're almost indestructible.
Almost indestructible.
Yeah, almost.
Unlike Legos, that when you step on them, they don't move at all. But you could blow Legos up with like an M80. I don't feel like these really blow up, right?
Yeah,
because
I'm sure you can blow them up.
I feel like these are harder but let's try that. We do have Christmas coming up soon, so if we can get some of these, maybe we'll blow up some.
That's an idea.
Let's
We may
try
do
it.
that
And record it. And
Let's see how much
Slow-mo
trouble
it.
we can get into. So look forward to seeing. We're gonna. This is gonna be the first time we actually test a theory. We're gonna call it a toy theory. See if it actually is legit. So all right. Other thing that's happening today that you guys went and saw Ghostbusters.
Yep.
The new movie.
Yes, we did.
Y'all went and saw it. Love to see Ed's post that he was copying. Michael was copying Joey from the Dorksman.
Yeah.
And then Ed responded back because it was something about advertising. Ed responded back with our advertisement in there. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, when I took
see
the
that.
picture on the screen, it says advertise here. And I said, well, maybe we should advertise. And then next thing I know, Ed's shooting back the same picture that I sent with our Toy Rewind logo on the screen.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And I will
Thanks,
say
Ed, that was cool. I
was rather confused because I couldn't go. But I saw Ed's picture first and was quite confused as to why our Toy Rewind was in a theater. I was like, well, maybe Ed rented it out and wanted to listen to a rewind at the theater. I didn't know what was going on. I was highly confused. But then I saw your post. And I was like, oh, he's, leave it to Ed to give us some good graphics there. So lots of fun. You guys enjoyed the movie?
It was,
Yes.
it was really good.
It was good. I think they did. I think they brought it back in and finalized it not finalized it, but did pretty good on this one to bring it back up to date.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they could possibly, if they want to, come out with the next one, but I'm fine with that being the end of it because it was really, really good.
Possibly.
I know there's a few points that I noticed that I know people will probably pick apart, but
I mean, that's in every movie.
I think, but it is, yeah. I thought it was really, really good, and I was really excited from the get go when I first saw that teaser trailer they showed with Ecto-1 in the barn with the wind blowing thing, and you saw the logo on it. And ever since then, I've been excited. Then it got put back a year, and then I think because of COVID. And I had a choice either seeing this or Eternals, and I kind of want to see Eternals, but I really, really, really wanted to see Ghostbusters. So I said, there's no contest. We're going to go see Ghostbusters. So that's what we did this morning.
Yeah, I just crashed the party. So
yeah, I feel like with Eternals, I'm so far behind. Like I haven't seen Black Widow. I've got the chance to see it. I just haven't seen it. I feel like I'm so far behind on some of that I'm just like, I don't know. I'll see it at some point.
Yeah, I wanted to see them all, keep them in order, but I don't know if I'll be able to see Eternals before I see Spider-Man. But I don't know if it has anything to do. Maybe the scenes at the end, credit scenes, if they would tie in or anything. But if I don't, it's no big deal. I'll see it. I just may have to be a little bit out of order, but.
I mean, that's how
we'll go see. Me and Randy are going to go see Spider-Man soon. Just as soon as we can after it comes out, we're going to go see that one too.
Yeah,
that's a big one that we want to see.
Pretty good.
I want to see that one. I want to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey
And
Maguire.
I saw that second trailer, and I really got more excited about it when I saw the second trailer.
Did you see the trailer that had Craven in it?
I may have.
You should just
Craven.
Just Google Spider-Man, Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon. And wait, is it Jimmy Fallon? No, it's Jimmy Kimmel. Sorry, it's Jimmy Kimmel. Wrong Jimmy
Kimmel.
And Craven. And it's hilarious. It's a joke.
Okay, I'll have to see
but he apparently is playing. He says he's playing Craven, and it's hilarious. So you should watch that. It's really funny. That trailer was really good. I'm excited about that one. Those are the next two movies that I want to see, and that's the Ghostbusters and Spider-Man. It's just a matter when I finally get myself into a theater and watch them. So we will see.
We saw what there was another one that we. Oh no! There's something Rainey was looking through some of these movies coming out, and she saw the new Wonka movie or something, and she thought it was. She said so we may go see that. We got a little. It seems like it might be all right.
There's a new Wonka movie?
It won't be out till 2023 because they're filming it right now.
Andrew's like, I'm looking that one up. I'm going to
I'm
Google
looking
it.
that one up.
I believe Wonka is being played by the guy from
Chalamet.
Fantastic Beasts. Yeah.
Timothy
Is that him?
Chalamet. No.
Yeah. No, who's he?
Timothy Chalamet is
Never mind. I got those guys mixed up.
I don't really he's from Dune.
Oh, he's the Dune guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's from
Okay.
Dune. I didn't think
That's
about
where okay. I thought it was the
Um,
guy from I didn't see his face. She just told me who it was, and I was thinking it was the guy.
They got Mr. Bean in it.
that. It does.
Yeah,
It does
Mr.
have Rowan
Bean's supposed to be
Atkinson.
in it. I told her, I said that'd be funny if Mr. Bean was actually a Oompa Loompa. And
Oh my gosh. Like if he's all the Oompa Loompa like they
You
did with
see-
Roy Deep.
you know how Mr. Bean is, and you see him doing Oompa
Oh my
Loompa
gosh.
version. That'd be
So
just imagine it. Y'all that are listening, just imagine Mr. Bean as an Oompa Loompa, and you'll get a good kick out of that.
I will say, talking about acting or actors and stuff, we've seen the new Mortal Kombat movie. We watched it when it first came out on HBO. We started rewatching it because we like the fight scenes. They're really great. And I'm also in the middle of rewatching the Arrowverse from the beginning and all of it interweaved in between and everything, which is a lot of fun because I'm like skipping through episodes. So the guy who plays Jimmy Olsen in
And
Supergirl
Yeah.
is Jax in Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
And it's funny because in I keep trying to say Smallville. In Supergirl, he's not like, I mean, he's not a small guy, but he's not like all buffed up like he is when he plays Jax.
Yeah.
And when I realized it, he also has a mustache as Jax, and that mustache is like, it's like a Superman thing. Like if you shave it off, he's Jimmy Olsen. He grows a mustache, he's Jax. Like his head looks too small for his body when he's playing Jax. Now that I look at it, I'm like, this is weird.
I can see that. I haven't seen Mortal Kombat, but I can see him. Yeah.
Well, when you
the way that
watch it,
character is, yeah.
when you watch it, you'll be like, yeah, that's Jimmy Olsen. That's not, Jax. It's kind of weird. So, all right. Well, we need to talk about these army men before we get too far into it. We're not the Dorksmen. We don't spend 30 minutes talking about nothing. We talk about the toy lines. So, Michael, John, you guys ready?
Let's go. Let's rewind
All right. Let's rewind.
All right. So these plastic army men date back to 1938 when Bergen Toy and Novelty Company first made these guys. Now they just for short, the Bergen Toy and Novelty Company, Benton is what they're called for short. So that's what we're going to go with. So, and let's see. So these originally were about 2 inches tall and molded from olive green unbreakable plastic. My notes are out of order, so that's what
Out of order notes.
Yeah, out of order notes. So yeah, like I said, they're 3 inches tall or 2 inches tall, and they were out of that olive green color. These were generally sold in bags or buckets, often included different colors such as a green, tan, gray to represent opposing sides. There was a lot of different colors. We'll get into that here in a bit. They were equipped with a variety of weapons, typically from World War II to current era. Weapons include rifles, machine guns, submachine guns, sniper rifles, pistols, grenades, flamethrowers, mortars, and bazookas. Some of the other figures that don't have weapons, you got radio men, you got binocular scouts, and you got minesweepers as well. Sometimes these are packaged with additional accessories, including tanks, which are often based on the M48 Patton tank. And then you had jeeps, you have armed hovercrafts, you got half tracks, are different kinds of artillery, you got flags. There's army trucks, helicopters, fighter jets, landing craft, and fortifications. It just depends on which company. There's so many different companies that make these now, and back in the day when they were really, really big. And what they would do, they get you a bag of army men, and they would place some kind of like an army tank or a Jeep or something inside there to go along with the Army men. And then and every bag would be a little bit different. It wouldn't have the exact same thing over and over. So so you got a little bit of variety in there when you got these bags or the buckets, same way. Since they are toys and not models, historical and chronological accuracy are generally not a priority. So they're just kind of all mixed up. So Benton painted. So when Benton came out with theirs, they painted these figures the same as the metal version. So there were some other companies that had metal versions of Army men, but Benton came out with the plastic ones, which what we know of today. And these, they painted them just like the metal figures. They were still a solid color, but they would put little paint details on them. And then sold them the same way. They were either individually or in a box of 7, as what they originally came out with. Following World War II, Benton modified these figures from World War I to World War II looking. I think the biggest change was the helmets. They had, like I said, 1938 to the mid 40s. It was all like World War I type looking stuff. And then after World War II, they went to a more modern World War II look for them. So following World War II, Army men were not painted and usually came in green color, corresponding to the U.S. Army uniforms in World War II. Going back to the metal figures they had, I know during World War II they had a lot of the metal producing companies. All that metal went into making war stuff instead of even the car manufacturers like General Motors and Ford and Dodge. A lot of that stuff they halted production on a lot of stuff, and kind of same thing with the metal toys. They kind of halted on that, so a lot of plastic toys started coming along in the 40s. So after World War II, the metal figures kind of disappeared and they all went plastic. So beginning in the early 50s, Lewis Marks and Company, I know we've talked about them several times.
Mm-hmm.
They sold box sets of figures and accessories they call them their play sets. One was a U.S. Army Training Center, and then they had another one called the Battleground. There was Multiple Plastics Corporations, or MPC for short. They sold plastic figures in various colors. Like I said, they have different colors. So MPC started doing in different colors with different separate accessories. So they kind of had the same figures over and over, just different colors, and they would be so their green figures would be soldiers. Their farmers, they had farmers, pioneers, or cowboys. Those were all brown colors. You had policemen, which were molded in blue. The ski troopers were white. You had spacemen. Those were various colors. And then they have American Civil War soldiers as well. Those were blue and gray. So they had a couple of the figures, and they just kind of produced them in different colors for different sets, different kinds of sets. With the cheapness of plastic back then and the popularity of Army men, and competition between manufacturers, like by the time you got into the 50s, there was many different companies making these men now. This led to the Army men being sold in bags by Marks. Timmy Toys sold them in bags, and then MPC also had them in bags. And these were for as little as a penny a piece in the mid 60s. That's just how cheap they were. You get a bag of 10 or 15, it'd be less than $1, or
Okay.
a penny a piece. So that's like 15, 20 cents. You get a bag of 20 for like 20 cents, So during this time, during the 60s, Marks gave the American Army men actual enemies to fight. There was German soldiers. They were molded in gray. And this was in a 1962 Army combat set. And then they had another set in 1963, which had Japanese soldiers. Those were molded in yellow. And the name of that set was the Iwo Jima set. Like I said, that came out in 1963. In 1965, a D-Day marked set featured allies such as French. Those were molded in a horizon blue. You had British that were in khaki color. And then they had Russians. I never found out what color the Russians were. I know I looked and never saw what color they were. One of the last and the largest play sets was the multi-level Fortress Navarone Mountain set. This was actually based on the Guns of Navarone movie. It was a 1961 World War II movie. And this last Fortress Navarone Mountain set was actually available in the 60s. It was available in the 70s, not the 60s, the 70s, and then pitted World War II American soldiers against Germans. So that's kind of what the movie was about. The Germans had occupied this mountain. I think it was in Greece or something like that, and the Americans had to go save the. Yeah, go. And John's got a picture of it there. So, and that's what the movie was about. So, it's a pretty cool little piece. It's got multi levels. We say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. And
this one doesn't show the back, but this one did.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 levels. You got
Ladders,
different guns. You got several ladders. You got an elevator, and you got little drawstrings that move the elevator and whatever else was on the front there that moves up and down.
I like how easy that is. Like they weren't trying to be complicated. Like the Army men aren't complicated. They're just molds of, there's no articulation. And even in this, like you just got a drawstring. That's how you pull up the elevator.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to be complicated or anything.
And the Army men, they're just, like I said, they're just one piece of plastic with a flat base that they stand on, those that stand. And that's it. So, I mean, it's nothing to it. I mean, they're just 2 inches or now they're actually shorter now than what they used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a little play set and you just set your guys up there and you just use your imagination.
Did you see?
It's still a nice play set. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
To some of the others.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks
not
pretty
Castle
sturdy
Grayskull or something, but
I would never have thought Army Man would have something like that. To be honest,
I never saw anything like that. We just had the little Army Men.
You get the Army Men, and you're making play sets out of like your sheets or your blankets. You make hills and stuff for them to go up on. That's pretty cool.
Or you're outside in the dirt and mud.
Right. I mean, I'm just talking about if you're inside. So, Michael, did you see anything as to why they had their bases? Like, did they ever try it without the base? And they're like, oh, these guys don't stand up. Let's put a base on it.
Well, they're so small and everything. There's no surface for them to stand on. Their feet are so small; they just kind of tump over.
I was just curious.
And the way they're posed if they're holding a rifle or something, it kind of makes them front heavy and they'll fall over if you don't. I mean,
I was just curious if there was, somebody was like the savior and was like, hey, we put a base on them so that they would stand up. Except for the guys that are crawling on the ground that don't have bases.
There's a couple of figures that crawl. You got your binocular guy that's on his belly. And then you have another guy I think he's got a rifle that's kind of crawling on his elbows and his knees or his legs. So, but yeah, that Fortress was about one of the last ones that came out as a play set, and that was in the 70s. So by the time we came around, they didn't have these play sets. They just had them in bags and buckets, and you just go buy them. So, something we talked about with the G.I. Joe 12-inch line back in episode 29. During the Vietnam War, sales and availability of military toys began to decline because of the unpopularity of war. And then the higher prices, by the time you got into early 70s, the higher prices of plastic from the 1973 oil crisis made the plastic costs go up. So they were going up in price because they couldn't because the gas prices and stuff went up. So that, and then with the Vietnam War, these toys were kind of pushed to the side, and nobody really cared about them. So
That's just the unpopularity of the Vietnam War at the time.
Yeah, anything war like I said, G.I. Joe, the 12-inch line had to compensate for that, and that's where you got the adventure guys and all that kind of stuff and that. So we went more into detail in that in our episode 29. So listen to that. So since 1975, many of the manufacturers of plastic soldiers in Europe and U.S. closed due to the higher pricing, and then people just not buying them. And then a lot of the manufacturing and stuff went over to China, which, like everything else, it's gone over to China because of the cost is cheaper and all that kind of stuff. So today, Army men, they're still being made, but in China, where it's cheaper to be made. Also, no more extensive accessories that were common in the Marks play sets. These are smaller as well, averaging 1 inch in height. They kind of shrunk. That way they save half the plastic when they do that. So it went from 2 inch to 1 inch, and it saves money. They can do twice as much for just the same amount. So most of these figures are generic imitations of the model figures from such companies as there's Airfix and Matchbox. That's two more companies that made these back in the early days. And then they're very widely and their quality is less than what they used to be as well. They're not quite as detailed as they used to be. One more thing real quick. In 2020, BMC Toys, which are a current manufacturer of them right now, they included Army women to the mix due to popular requests from female veterans and then also toy fans. They wanted they wanted some women mixed in with them too. So, which I mean, there's they said they started in last year, 2020. Okay. That's what I read. So,
I got my twos mixed up.
So I mean that should have been coming a long time ago, in my opinion. But because we have a lot of there's a lot of female veterans and stuff like that. So things have changed, the past 30 years and all that. So it's good to have that mix in there now. So, but that's pretty much the history. Like I said, there's not much to it, but they've changed a lot since 1938 to now. Like I said, they've shrunk in size, and the detail's not as good as they used to be. I mean, back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, these guys were very popular. So, and I remember back in the 80s when we had some too, and even now you can walk into a dollar store and grab a bag of them. So
yeah, you can almost find these anywhere. I was looking on eBay. Guess what? You can buy them on eBay for probably about the same price as you get them at the dollar store. You just have to pay for shipping a lot of times. 72 piece Army men toy soldiers for $8. That's not bad. But you get the same thing at pretty much any like you said, dollar store. Probably find them at Walmart. Not as easily to find them at Walmart, but they're still there.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, Mike, I don't mean to trample over what you're saying. I was going to get into some pop culture stuff, so tell me if you're ready.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
So you said these kind of went out of fashion. What in the 80s, 70s, 80s?
70s, early 70s because of the Vietnam War. Late 60s, early 70s, and then they kind of made a comeback. Got not popular, but not as popular as they used to be. But
they were still around.
Yeah, and with the pricing and stuff went up, but now that they started doing everything over in China and shipping them over here, it was a lot cheaper. So the prices went back down again.
Yeah. I know they made a big resurgence in the mid 90s, and not necessarily as like something that's super collectible, but just something that really went into pop culture because of a movie that we all love called Toy Story. They really brought them back. Something that they did with that. Pixar did when they came out. There's so many things like Speak and Spell and that. You've got Ham, the piggy bank, and so many things. But Green Army Men make a big presence in it. And it's one of two resurgences that I see with Green Army Men, specifically from it was Pixar back in the day, but we look at it as Disney, today. So they did 3 movies. Green Army Men are pretty much throughout all the 3 main movies. In the 4th one, I don't remember seeing them that much, but or seeing them in there, but they do leave in the 3rd one, like the specific ones that came in the 1st one. They leave the daycare and they run off like they're going to find some other place to be at. We saw in the 1st one where Sid like had nails through some of them because he was torturing them, and like I think they did a great job. Like it was a lot of fun to watch that and be like, oh yes, like kids played with these because even though they don't move, it was all imagination, really.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then Disney took that to the next level when they bought Pixar officially. And they have a lot of their Pixar stuff at the parks. So they have Green Army Men at the parks in the Pixar areas where it's the guys walking around. And I love the costumes because when they stand still, like nothing moves. And they look like a little Green Army Man. They even have the bases that attach to their feet. And like this guy.
Yeah, there you go.
And you can even see the detail that is gone from this because his face, like there's no detail in his face. He's just got a mesh covering over it.
Yeah.
If you talk to them, like we talked to them when we were in Disneyland, if you talk to them, they will like push you out of the way. Like, no, you can't be here. Like they're military all the way. And it's really funny because there's this green toy thing telling you can't be somewhere or whatever. So they brought that back. It's 95, kind of ran through it all the way. And then again, in I guess it was 2020. I don't know if it's 2020, late 2019. I don't know, when Ted Lasso came out. And it's something they have in the Ted Lasso show. I don't know if either of you have seen it. But Ted deals with a bunch of his being away from his kid, and his kid sends him Green Army Men, and he passes them out to different characters in the show as like a way to be strong. And he's like, hey, and it runs through both seasons and it's great. So it's like, again, because that's Apple TV, which is kind of connected with Disney in a long different ways. It's all coming back. As somebody wants to bring this back and everything. So they there's a lot of places where they're in pop culture and different things, and you just see them in random movies because they're in a prop set somewhere and everything. So Green Army Men are pretty cool. I like them.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of video games out. I don't know. I haven't played any of the games that they're in, but. And then there's one, was that Heroes of the Storm? It's a game, and they've got several skins that are Green Army Men themed as well for that video game. But they've got a couple out that are just Green Army Men.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some in like Fortnite.
Right. I'm sure there is. That's
I'll
ask
look it up.
kids. A couple of short stories by Stephen King they're in. Battleground, Nightmare of Dreamscapes, from the stories of Stephen King. They all pop up in there. And then I know, Michael, you talked about the difference with the schools or during the time when they weren't popular because of the war. But I know like if you used them in something with some of the schools, you had to cut the weapons off.
Yeah.
You couldn't have the weapons displayed or stuff. So they have that. And then Burger King, with the release of Toy Story, when they did their features with Burger King, they only had the leader, the radio operator, the minesweeper, and then the binocular guy. That's what they used on that because they didn't have weapons.
Yeah. One thing, if you watch the movie, I don't think they have weapons in the movie. It's been a little while since I've seen the first one, but I don't think they actually have. Like there are by the way, this that I'm showing, this is from Fortnite. So there is. He's a plastic patroller. That's what he's actually called. But I don't think Toy Story has weapons. They're all the radio, and because I mean they use different things, but I don't think there's actually any guns in Toy Story.
Probably not. Yeah.
I don't
remember.
I don't remember.
It's been so long since I've seen it. I could be completely wrong. I bet 10-1 I probably am, but I don't remember. Actually, here you go. 10 I am wrong because open this one. Look at this. As I talk about this is the scene specifically when his mom steps on them.
Right.
Oh yeah. They do.
And look at this. There's 6 of them, and all 6 of them have a weapon.
Yeah.
I
So
was gonna say I thought they did.
I
wasn't for sure because of it. But I think it just what they.
I think this may be like the only scene where you actually see them with it, because when they're in Andy's room with the toys, like it's a lot of just the main one talking with Woody, like the commander talking with Woody and whatnot. But this, when they're actually out, they're moving the radio into the plant for the birthday party. This may be the only time where you actually see them where they freeze and they have to like be in their position and you see the weapons. So
yeah,
there's somewhere else I was going with that too.
I don't know.
Oh, you've got them in Legos.
Yeah.
They made a big, like the big resurgence with Halloween costumes, where people dressing up like
That's what I want. There we go. That's what I need.
That's what you need, John. You just get, how you make the base. You just get latex. You get a pair of pair of boots that you don't care about, and you get latex, and you pour it out on the ground and whatever, and you put the boots in it. Then you can cut the middle between the boots so you can walk. And then you paint it all green. It's real easy to do. I like Green Army Man. I got the hiccups too, but that's just me.
We had our fair share of these too.
Yeah, we did. The 11 current poses that these are in haven't really changed since the mid '60s. It's been pretty much the same pose ever since like 1967, I think is what I saw. So they really haven't had any other changes except for what, being shipped over to China and being a little smaller, but the poses are pretty much the same since then. So,
all right, let's rank these real quick.
Let me throw out one more deal. So they did make the Toy Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that.
On November 6th of 2014. So they did get put into the Toy Hall of Fame.
What all made it that year? Was that the same year as like Ball?
The Rubik's Cube and Bubbles.
Bubbles. There's the generic one.
That's the simple one. Yeah. Bubbles.
I just wondered what that generic one was. Oh, this is where I was going with it. Okay, Michael, this game that we talked about with the little figures, the little guys.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what game it is, but I feel like things like this wouldn't have been as popular, or might not have ever happened, if Army Men weren't popular at some point.
Right.
Because I feel like that was the precursor of all of these little figures that don't move at all. And just kind of stand in pose.
We've talked about Muscle too. Muscle's about the same thing. They're just one pose and they're one color. That's it.
And would those have ever happened if Green Army Men weren't something from like the 30s?
Yeah.
So. All right, let's rank these boogers.
Okay.
I just brought it up. What? Where you put these, Michael?
Let's put these at, let's see, let's put these at number 12.
Number 12.
Yeah.
So right above Battle Beast?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right there with Battle Beast.
John. Oh, sorry. I need to go up for you, don't I?
Man, I don't know. Let's see. I think they deserve to be in the top 10 somewhere. I just don't know how long they're going to stay in the top 10.
There's a lot of good stuff here that's just kind of crazy.
right? But I think I'm going to put them at number 10.
Number
they
10.
deserve to be in the top 10 right now.
I'm going to put these. I want to put them at 12. I'm not copying Michael, but I feel like they're not as good as my Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Yeah.
But better than Monster in My Pocket for me. I would say 11 or 12 or 13, but I think I'm putting them 12 because of Monster in My Pocket happens to be number 12. But I can't put these above Raggedy Ann and Andy. Otherwise, they might be in my top 10 if some of these. That's the thing with our list. Like it's so many toy lines,
right?
That we talk about that they can't all be in our top 10.
Yeah.
It does make me sad that Raggedy Ann and Andy have fallen out of mine, but there's a lot of toy lines here that are freaking amazing that we've talked about, yeah. So I think that's a solid start for these guys. And then we're going to really test this Undestructible thing come Christmas. So
yeah, we'll definitely have to do that.
When Mom and Dad listen to this, if you want to drop some Army Men in our stockings, we're just going to try to blow them up. So feel free to do that.
Right. And that's going to happen now that you said that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to happen. We'll get a tool like a screwdriver and some Green Army Men.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I another thing that I never knew was the colors were specific for countries. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was interesting to learn. I knew there was different colors, but I didn't know.
I mean, I knew there was different colors, and I figured that's how they were kind of made. Like, that way you can know them apart if you're playing with them. Doing a war.
Yeah, that was Marks that did that, and then the MPC, that Multiple Plastics Corporation. Their multiple colors were different. Different kind of themes. You get soldiers, farmers, cowboys, policemen, troopers, spacemen. You got your Civil War guys too. So
I mean, that makes sense. So, did anybody do Civil War like Union and Confederates?
Yeah, the MPC had theirs they had blue and they had gray.
Oh, okay. So they did that. Yeah. Okay. I think that's kind of cool.
And I had a friend when we lived in Tyler. Quick story, real quick. When we lived in Tyler, right on the other side of the creek was an old lady, and her grandson would come down. I made friends with him, and he had a ton of these little soldiers, and we would play with those when he was over visiting his grandmother. He would let me know, and we went down there and we played with them, and it was a lot of these figures here. He didn't have like G.I. Joe or anything like that at his grandmother's. So, but he had a ton of these toys, these Army Men, and I believe we had the American and the Civil War ones as well. So, because I remember multiple colors, and we would play battles with the different colors between. I'd be one color, he'd be the other color, and stuff. So. But I always enjoyed going over there and playing with him. We like I said, it's all imagination on these guys. So a lot of the toys back then, the 50s, 60s, 70s, you used your imagination more than what you do now. So
it's not like a video game these days where you just play it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had to actually come up with your own plot and your theme and all that kind of stuff back then. Yeah. So.
I do like these. I think these toys from that timeline, the older toys, where you have that and you don't have like a cartoon that's kind of giving you some kind of a storyline, doesn't mean your imagination's not in it. It's just, something that you have to come up with everything. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And probably why we had back then so many, people grow up that they could get themselves out of, they can think out of a situation. They weren't just like, all right, what do I do? Where do or whatever, they don't have everybody trying to tell them what has to happen. They can figure it out themselves.
Yep.
So, but that's a whole different story. And probably there's 12 or 13 podcasts right underneath ours talking about that. So we won't get into that. All right. What else do we have? What else we got?
I think that's pretty much it for these guys.
We ranked them. We talked about them. There's not really much to talk about with cost because they're, like you said, a cent basically per figure.
Yeah,
when they first
they're
kinda came out.
maybe a little bit more than a penny a piece now. Back then they were, and it was really really cheap to make these guys back then. So it was,
Yeah.
and buying them for a penny a piece was pretty good back then. But now it's probably 50 cents a piece now.
But you're buying a big thing at like 72. You don't even think about them by individual cost or anything. So
No,
Right.
yeah. All right. Well, we talking about some Green Army men, but let's talk about some of those people that help support us and we help support them. Stay tuned. Check out all these social medias for like Cross Streams Media. There's a lot of good podcasts there. Our partner podcasts that we kind of work with, including the Dorksman STS guys, the Secondary Heroes, 3 Beers and a Mic, the Movie Gap, Dan Aykroyd podcast, the Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson podcast, Front Row Negative, Art of the Boar, and Beering Ain't Easy. And I have a feeling Michael's going to be on one of those soon, just as soon as his schedule opens up and he can actually make one of them. He'll be on. Was that Front Row Negative? Probably.
Yeah, they asked. I'm gonna have to get back with them.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I know your schedule opens up and you can make that Friday evening, I think that'll be fun to have some crossover with these guys. You know, like we're crossing the streams.
Hey, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. See, it all comes back to that. I have another fact about Ghostbusters. We'll talk about it in a minute. So check out Cross Streams Media, all the different links to our social networks, their social networks, and follow all of us because we're one big family trying to do all kinds of information and fun just to give you some enjoyment. While you're there, leave us a ratings and review over either there or on Apple Podcasts. And if you do that, John will send you a sticker, or I'll send you a sticker. Somebody will send you a sticker. You got to leave us a ratings and review. By the way, I tried to do this on iTunes, or not iTunes, Apple Podcasts the other day, and it's a lot harder than it seems. It shouldn't be, but it is a lot harder than it seems.
I don't have anything Apple, so I don't. I'm not on there to. Not signed in.
It's
do that. So
it's really weird. So if you do that, we will definitely send you a sticker. Also, check out Geek Together. Be sure you follow their social medias because, like John mentioned earlier, that's where we do our toy collector showcases. And we have one that we're just trying to get a date lined up, and we'll be getting ready to do that soon. And looking through, trying to make sure I have all the good stuff. That's it. That's it. Anything? Oh, the Ghostbusters thing, because I mentioned that. Yeah. Interesting fact. Finn Wolfhard, which is in the new Ghostbusters movie. He plays. I don't know who he actually plays yet because I haven't seen it, but I know he's like in it. He's somebody's grandkid, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. So he is he had a Funko Pop made of him for Ghostbusters, of him in a Ghostbusters uniform. And he also has a Funko Pop of him in a Ghostbusters uniform from Stranger Things. So he's the first person to have a Ghostbusters Funko or like figure created for 2 different things. And he like made it happen because he's like in Stranger Things. He's like, I want to be a Ghostbuster because that's what they're the years that they're doing that.
Yeah, that's set in the 80s. Yeah,
and then it came full circle, and he became a freaking Ghostbuster. So boom,
that's a cool little.
You can make your and you can make your dreams come true. That's the positive spin on this episode. Just like He-Man has one.
Didn't they say that in the movie?
Probably. I don't know. The new movie? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think that was actually said in the new movie how you can be anything you want to be because.
And see, just like that, we are a He-Man episode with a positive spin at the end of the episode. We've done this too many times now. I think
knowing is half the battle.
I still have to get the More You Know star to come so that we can. I got to get that set up. So, all right. Well, this is. Hold on, I have to look back. Is this 65? Yeah, this is 65.
Number 65.
Number 65. We talked about Green Army Men and how they became part of our
And, you know, we
lives.
can go on syndication now. We got 65 episodes.
We will. I'll contact some people. We'll see if we can get into syndication.
All right, you do that.
Maybe Howard Stern. Maybe he'll help us become syndicated. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Look forward to next week after Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you guys don't stuff yourself too much. And we're going to end this with Go Cowboys.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.